How fucking dare this motherfucker say this shit? Fucking, I'm blocking your ass, you fucking piece of shit, you worthless fuck. I'm tired of this shit. I don't know why I'm fucking dealing with these motherfuckers on fucking Facebook and shit. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Welcome to the Scott the Truck Driver motherfucking podcast and shit. And today we're going to talk about stress and anxiety. Something I've battled with a lot in the past. But before we get into shit, I want to welcome everybody that's here live. We're at a record-breaking 21 people watching today. That's fucking amazing. So welcome for those of you who have come over here to hang out with me on DLive and to do some live video shit. We're going to get a lot of content on YouTube this week. This stream included will be going on YouTube because you guys apparently want me to fucking do that, because we've had some generous contributions this week that have allowed me, financially speaking, to spend time producing content and making videos. So my plan is to actually produce a video every day this week. It might not post right away, depending on how long it takes to render and do all of that, depending on what I do for the videos. I haven't planned them out yet. But I want to take the time to thank these generous sponsors who are the reason I'm able to take time to do videos this week. First, I want to thank Helen Guilford. She's been a long-time contributor to the show, contributing through ScottTheTruckDriver.com. Dave and MSP also has been a very generous contributor over the years, and he said he was stopping contributing, which is understandable given how generous he's been. But he just chimed in. I guess he liked my minimalism video, even though he's a baller and likes to butt heads with me on it. Occasionally, he seemed pretty agreeable this time. And he actually wrote a little message with it saying, as did Helen, so we're going to read those real quick. Loving your new minimalist video, and I just bought a new car, LOL. Glad to see you're doing well and figuring things out. I'm watching from the sidelines as time permits. Keep using your time wisely. I'm still 2 years away from being debt-free, but the time will pass quickly. All the best. So thank you, Dave and MSP, for checking in and contributing to my content production capabilities. And also Helen wrote, I like you better on YouTube. I'm an old fart. These new things are a pain in the ass. And I do realize it was difficult for some of you to come over here and follow this, but thankfully, these replays will be on YouTube this week, so you'll be able to see the whole fucking thing. It's just you won't be joining me in chat, or voice chat is a feature that is available as well. The link is at the top of the chat. It's also in the in the About tab, which is underneath this stream on DLive. And you can, of course, watch replays later on DLive under the Replays tab, which is below this screen on DLive and shit. Also want to thank Luke B, who also provided a very generous contribution today. Wrote, hi Scott, hope this helps bring a few videos our way. So yeah, I want to thank you as well. And also, those were all on ScottTheTruckDriver.com via the virtual tip jar. In response, obviously, to the fact that I said I need at least $20 to spend time on one video. Well, they provided enough for me to do a video every day. So thank them for me having being able to do content this week. And I'm fortunate, and I'm still going to make videos even when you guys don't contribute. It's just a matter of time management on my side. I also want to thank Brian Ambrose and Angela Gray for their contributions this week as well, and because of all of you, I'm able to dedicate this full week to video production, with the exception of Tuesday night and Friday night because I work my part-time job those nights. But I'll still do a video earlier in those days to get up on YouTube. And I will premiere those videos here with a reaction stream. But some of the videos are just going to be normal YouTube videos, not necessarily streams. A function of DLive I'm thinking of doing is premiering new videos here and then having a live chat afterwards or reacting to them, or I don't know, we'll see how that fucking works. So that's it for the thanking of the sponsorship for this video. Let's get into stress and anxiety management. Gyro spin up 0.05 Lino, you may get a lemon someday. A Lino is worth approximately 1 cent, maybe 1.2 cents for 1 Lino. Just in case you were curious of the conversion rate, so you can kind of get an idea how much a Lino is worth. And consequently, I want to thank those of you who've contributed here on DLive, because I'm about to receive my first payment, hopefully, and I'll let you know how that goes from DLive. I just filed for it. It's about $53 total, which is not bad considering I've got 142 followers. I'm not even a partner or a affiliate yet. So hopefully you need 200 followers to become an affiliate. So many people around me are filled with stress and anxiety, and I see it because I work part-time in a bar and I drive Uber. I get to see how people are affected in their daily lives. I've had extremely stressed out motherfuckers come in to my life and show me just how stressed out they really are. And I feel I have made a lot of progress on stress and anxiety over the years, as in I have very little anxiety and very low stress levels compared to what I used to be. Not to say I don't get stress. Stress is a normal part of life. You're going to have stress in your life. It's how you respond to that stress that becomes important. And I've been studying a bit of philosophy here and there, and I've been trying things out for myself in my mindset, and I came up with kind of 10 things that are things that I do to manage stress and prevent anxiety. Now, before we get into that, I want to state up front that nutrition has a deep impact on stress and anxiety, particularly on the anxiety side of things. If your diet is shit, you are going to have skyrocketing anxiety levels. And a lot of people use food, ironically, to manage their stress, to comfort themselves, and other hedonic behaviors. Lady Liberty Speaks, thank you for the follow. Share your secrets because the meds and therapy aren't helping. I am doing the best I can. Alpha Coop, Scott, I stopped taking Prozac cold turkey. I know you're not supposed to do that. Wanted your opinion on anxiety meds. Just to break away real quick from what I was going to say, I will say that I'm not a fucking shrink or an expert. I can't tell you to stop taking your meds. Or I don't know your issues. I'm just telling you this. I'm just sharing kind of what I have done that has worked for me, in case you wanted to try it. I was put on medication a long time ago. It was Paxil, and it was to manage depression. And I was in a very bad funk for a good reason, but as I've said before, depression is when it takes a long time, when you just get into this downward spiral that never ends. So they put me on Paxil, and then it turned me into a zombie with other side effects that I didn't appreciate. And I also went cold turkey off of that, which you're not supposed to do as well. And I have never looked back to the pharmaceutical industry for any of my mental health dealings. And while my mental health isn't 100% perfect, some would say I'm a little fucked up. but that's okay. It is night and day compared to how, it's so much better than it used to be prior to me taking care of my health and changing my lifestyle and changing the way I react to things and the things I allow into my life now. And we're going to go over some of this because these are all things that you could add on to proper nutrition and health to really make a dent in that stress, anxiety, and misery that so many people subject themselves to. And it is something that people are subjecting themselves to. And so I wanted to go through today the things that, my secrets, Lady Liberty speaks, to dealing with this so that we can do this. Sam Keto Fuel DLive needs to allow casting to the TV. I agree totally. It would be nice if it gets big enough to where it has all of the, things that YouTube has as far as being able to stream to TV and stuff like that. Because I have a smart TV, so I understand completely. It'd be nice I could just pop it up on the TV when I wanted to. Anyways, number 10 on my list is do not ruminate. You can't change the past. This is something that led to a lot of depressions and anxiety for me early on in my life. I would start thinking about mistakes I've made or things that aren't going well and going over them again and again in my head. And it would catapult me into depression or make me extremely fearful. Thank you, Double Delta Zero, for some Tutti fucking fruity and shit. Yeah. So, it led me down this rabbit hole of depression and anxiety whenever I would sit and think about these things that have already happened. They're done. They're, all you can do is try and change or prevent them from happening again. But that can generate anxiety too, because you're constantly fearful. You may not do certain things because you're afraid that you're going to end up in this situation again that's going to cause you mental health issues, whether it's depression, anxiety, or any number of other issues. So, I would prevent myself from thinking about negative things in the past. This required a lot of training myself, actively doing. And I usually did so out in nature, as in like hiking and stuff, where all you have to do is, you don't have a signal on this fucking thing. So you can sit there and you can think and really concentrate, on what's important in life. And also stepping back from your life, is another method I used, like by going out in nature and doing those things. And that's actually one of the things on this list. You step out of your life and a whole new world outside of your normal bubble is revealed to you, and it forces you to think about that world instead of the one you left at home. At least for me. I can't say it works for everybody, but that's one of the things that can get you out of that rumination about your life. Like if you feel like your life sucks and you think about it constantly, it becomes this like drain that you're circling and you'll get sucked down in that motherfucker. So don't think about your mistakes or the past or the things that even out currently aren't going well for you, because it's really not serving any other purpose other than to make you depressed, anxious, and miserable. Stress is a normal function of life. Anxiety is fear caused by stress. And it's preventable. Anxiety is totally 100% preventable. It's how you think about your life and the things that cause you issues. Now, I'm not saying that this is for everyone. There might be people suffering from anxiety because of nutritional reasons, because of health problems that are causing them anxiety, and just something really, really fucking bad happened to them. And that can make anxiety a huge problem. I've had bad things happen to me in my life, and they caused me a lot of anxiety. And it took years of working on this. It wasn't something that I was like, bam, there goes my anxiety, I'm good to go. I didn't just become a fucking carnivore and all of a sudden everything was working out well. No, I've been working on this a long time, because I don't want to be that person I used to be that was depressed, anxious, let fear control a lot of my life. And it kept me throughout my life doing the things I've been doing now. Even just this weekend, I used to have social anxiety, believe it or not. Now I'm a fucking DJ and I sing in front of people. Imagine that. And I'm here on YouTube. So I've come a long way. And, I got invited to go camping with someone this weekend, a friend of mine, and it became an adventure that I can't even describe. I was surrounded by people getting shit-faced, obviously, because this was a party campground. This wasn't a nature campground. And, we went swimming. I got invited on a boat. So, I was riding around on a boat with a bunch of beautiful women, yes. So, yeah. It was quite the adventure. And I did it without drinking. So, and that seemed to mystify a lot of people, because there was a live band. There was actually a bar at this campground that had a live band. So we went to see the band, and people were like, "Oh, you're not drinking? Well, you don't drink?" And I'm like, "Nope, I'm good. I'm having a great fucking day without these things." And the reason I'm able to do that is because I've managed my anxiety and depression levels that used to prevent me from doing, like, old me would have been like, oh, maybe I'll come, but probably not. That's what old 4 or 5 year ago me would have done. And now I'm like, oh yeah, and also another friend has invited me to Texas in November. So I'm going to Texas. They were like, do you want to go to Texas? I was like, sure. And they were like, what? Because apparently they were trying to get some people to go and nobody wanted to go. So I was like, absolutely, I'll fucking go. I'll drive there too, and the person I'm hanging out with is flying down, but I'm going to drive, and then another buddy of mine's probably riding with me. So this will be one hell of a road trip, over 1,000-mile road trip. That's going to happen. This is all stuff that, like, the old me would have been worried about. Well, what if the car breaks down? What if I don't have enough fucking money to get there? These are genuine, things that I'm working on to make sure that isn't it. But old me would have been like, no, I can't go to Texas because I'm afraid my car will break down, or I'll get a flat tire, or I'm not gonna have enough money to do this or that. But new me is like, yeah, I'll go, sure, let me write it in my calendar, we're good. These are things to think about on what's this anxiety and stress is preventing you. It's the things that it's costing you in opportunity costs. And this is one of the reasons why you should always be working on this and not necessarily just turning to the pharmaceutical industry to do it. So don't ruminate. Don't think about the past. You can't fucking change it. There's nothing you can do. You can move forward and work on the future and be in the present without ruminating about the past, because that can suck you into anxiety, depression, and all kinds of other problems that really aren't productive, and you start feeling sorry for yourself, or you start getting angry because you feel you've been wronged or something like that, and how your life's turned out, and you blame other people, or you blame, these are all unhealthy things for mental health that people do pretty much all the fucking time. You see it all over social media. That's why social media is so toxic. People vent this shit on there. So thank you for the follow, Geomax TV, and also Yavro Boskert. Sam Keto Fuel, you have come a long way since you started vlogging. That is very true. And I'm going to probably do a video. One of the videos I do this week is I'm going to take a look back at prior channel me when I was a trucking vlogger, and kind of pick out some videos from the old days that aren't anywhere on the internet right now to share to kind of show you how far I really have come, and also to remember how far I've came. It'll be interesting for me to react to my own fucking shit from 6 years ago, Alpha Coop, Scott wanted your take on Prozac and meds. My take on Prozac and meds is, for me, I would never go on them. I don't believe in my heart that this pharmaceutical industry has a cure in mind for mental health. I believe they are providing, and this is my opinion, do not base your life on this. This is my personal opinion and how I approach it, based on my circumstances. And I believe they're not in the market for curing your depression or stress or anxiety or any of these things. They'll make you feel a little bit better as long as you keep taking their pills for the rest of your fucking life. There's no exit strategy. There's no, I took it for a while and I got better. There's no fucking cure coming out of the pharmaceutical industry. Why? Because it's not profitable enough. Look at how many millions of Americans are on some kind of mental health drug right now. Whether it's legal or illegal, it's just, one is allowed by the pharmaceutical industry and one's done by some guy on a corner in your fucking local city. The result is the same. They're not really fixing the root cause of anxiety and depression. There is a root cause, and that's kind of what I'm trying to address here, that I believe I've conquered a lot of these issues in my personal life, and I did so without a single pharmaceutical visit or even a shrink visit. I'm not saying this is the answer for anyone. I don't want to begrudge anybody anything that's helping them. If doing that, taking those meds is helping you, and not taking them it is worse, then by all means. I'm just saying, for me, I will try and find another solution before I take those meds. And I've been able to do so, because trust me, if I went in on some of my worst depressions or some of my worst anxiety sessions, if I went in to the hospital and said, look, I'm a mess, they're more than happy to hand me some pills. More than happy. They even have little questionnaires. Are you feeling depressed? And if you answer yes, guess what you're going to get offered? It's really become a pharmaceutical world because of the profit involved. I'm very passionate about my arguments against the pharmaceutical industry and the food industry and all these industries that are capitalizing on our poor health, both physical health and mental health, and it's ridiculous, really. Thank you, David9, for giving me the diamond. I appreciate it. For those of you who don't know what a diamond is, it's roughly $1. It's like 100 Lino. So thank you for your contribution to the I don't want to be a broke ass YouTuber fund. All right, so the next thing on my list, ironically enough, now that we're talking about it, is reducing your addictions or transferring them to healthier addictions. So, I've been talking about addiction a long time because I'm prone to it. I have a very addictive personality, and it has not changed. I have not conquered addiction. What I have learned is that I can transfer my addictions. I'm always going to require some certain baseline of dopamine, which is pretty much something I haven't quite mastered lowering my requirements for dopamine. I seem to have this regular addictive thing, but since I've become conscious of it, I'm able to direct it towards activities. Like, for example, I was addicted to drinking, obviously. You can go back through my video history and see that, and I agree with that I was pretty much an alcoholic, a functional alcoholic. But now that I've been studying addiction and how people deal with it. I've read a couple books on it. I've definitely looked at a bunch of YouTube videos and talks and listened to a lot of anecdotal people that have conquered it. I've I've gotten a lot of advice from a lot of different places, and then I started practicing certain things in my own life with my own addictions. And what I found that is, if I find another activity that has less of a negative impact on my life, I can actually go at that activity with the full fever of addiction that I'm prone to, and lose the other addiction that was probably causing me problems. For example, alcohol caused me health problems. 100%. No doubt in my mind, I'm 10 pounds down since I quit drinking. 10 pounds lost. Didn't change my diet. I still do fasting, sometimes ADF, sometimes 1 meal a day. It depends. But even before, I was at like 205, I'm now down to 195. And all I changed, the only variable I changed, I even exercise less too, was getting rid of alcohol. So that was definitely something that was having a very negative effect on me. So what did I transfer that to? Well, as many of you know, and some people have bitched about, I like to play poker. So it turns out my local casino pays $15 tournaments, which is negligible. It's like I literally earn that doing 2 or 3 Uber rides on my way home from doing that. So that's one of the things I do, because I get big, adrenaline and dopamine hits just from playing in that cheap ass tournament, enough so that I don't go to the fucking bar and spend hundreds of dollars drinking my face off. So to me, that's a fair trade. Is playing poker good for you? Probably not. It's not the bestest way to spend your life. But if it keeps me out of the fucking bar, that's what addiction transfers. That's kind of what I'm saying, and I've applied that on multiple levels. I was addicted to computer games. I've been addicted to a lot of things in my life, and I still am. I don't go back to alcohol. I don't go back to sugar. These are all things that I've cured myself. Grain. These are all addictions that are gone because I've transferred them elsewhere. There's other healthy addictions. There's going to the gym, believe it or not, is a healthy addiction. Getting out and backpacking, healthy addiction. These are all things that I've done to manage my addictions. And when you manage your addictions, because these can lead to stress and anxiety. If you, for some reason, aren't getting your level of dopamine in, your anxiety is going to shoot up. Your stress is going to shoot up. Your cortisol levels are going to be through the roof. And believe it or not, some of the activities themselves do cause stress. Like drinking, for example, caused I can't even describe the level of stress and problems that my drinking has caused me and people I've been in relationships with throughout my life. Getting rid of that gets rid of all of that. That's one less thing that you're going to be stressed and anxious about. And channeling that into an addictive behavior that doesn't really matter, doesn't affect your life in a negative way, is totally worth it in my book. While there may be negative aspects to whatever addiction you have, you got to pick the lesser of the evils, so to speak. So that's kind of what I've done there. Double Delta Zero. You can dopamine fast for 5 days, and this will reduce your dopamine requirements, but don't replace it with other addictions. I have tried that. The problem is, how do you do a dopamine fast? Because you get dopamine hits from all kinds of things. Your system is hardwired for this. This is what motivates you. Dopamine's a requirement. You can't lower it or get it all the way down. You have to, this was for our survival, is the reason this system is in place. It motivates us. Getting a huge dopamine hit after a hunt, for example, in ancient times, when you're going to eat for all the week. And all of that is still hardwired in here. And without dopamine, you'd just lay in bed all fucking day. You wouldn't be motivated to do anything. You wouldn't have ambition. You wouldn't have aspirations or dreams, because all of these are dopamine. And when you start fulfilling these things, you get dopamine hits. And so it's more about identifying the things that give you the dopamine. Now, there's probably ways to lower that requirement, because it is, if you do too much dopamine, obviously you become desensitized to it. You develop a tolerance, so to speak, so you require bigger and better addictions. I think I've snapped out of that cycle to where my addictions were just feeding other addictions, and it was snowballing into this big pile of shit. But I will say that it hasn't necessarily, gone down. And, like, for example, when I do a wilderness fast, there's not a lot of dopamine involved in the wilderness fast, other than when you're hiking out or while you're just out there relaxing in nature. That's more of a serotonin thing. But there's little moments of dopamine, like when you get to the end of the hike and you've survived and you made it, or when you first make it out to your camping point, you're still getting dopamine hits. And or somebody just gives you good news randomly, or you get a windfall or something. Dopamine hit. You can't really mitigate it to the point where you can control when your dopamine system is triggered, which is one of the reasons I believe addiction's so hard to fight off, is because you can't turn that system off. You can't really lower it. You can probably make it so you're more sensitive to it, so you don't require as much dopamine. But I've found for me that pretty much no matter what I've tried, my level of addiction tendencies have remained constant. It's just now that I'm conscious of it, I can focus it on different things, so there's that. Let's see what else. Let me catch up with chat before I go to the next topic here. Double Delta Zero, you keep entertainment very basic and natural. No electronics, no cheap entertainments. I would like to do that, but honestly, I game. I do all kinds of things still. But I'm not a hardcore gamer anymore either. If I have some time, I'll play a game. I will say my social media, we're going to get to, I have a whole section on social media, so we're getting there. As far as that's a big thing for stress and anxiety management. Lady Liberty speaks, maybe that's my problem. I need more dopamine. If you're depressed constantly, that's a good indicator that you're not getting a lot of dopamine, but you're also might not getting a lot of serotonin. Depends on your nutrition too. You have to have proper nutrition to have the building blocks for these chemicals in your brain. That's just a fact. You could do all of these things that I'm listing here today, and if you're not taking care of your diet, they'll probably have minimal impact. They'll still have an impact, I think, but really getting your nutrition. A lot of people have anecdotally said, including myself, that their anxiety went down tremendously, almost non-existent on keto, and carnivore depression goes away, which is interesting too. So there's definitely a nutritional component and a lifestyle component, but there's also other factors. Bad things happen to people, health problems. There's all kinds of variables when it comes to these emotions that we're dealing with. Some of them are natural responses. Depression is there for a reason. So is anxiety. The lion might come eat your ass if you're running around by yourself in the woods. That's something that you should legit be anxious about, because it prevents you from doing stupid shit. The problem is we've overloaded this system with bullshit that doesn't require this level of alertness from our bodies. And that's kind of these things I'm talking about today are ways of dealing with these things that are pretty much irrelevant to our survival, and basically our well-being. And that's kind of the motive of all of the things I've done, is to get myself from all of these preventable stimuli for depression, anxiety, and stress. All of these things, these are things you can partially control in a lot of cases, but there are stressors that are going to happen. Someone's going to hit your car. There's all kinds of life things. You could get evicted. You could lose your job. Or maybe you work a shit job that's very stressful. It's pretty clear that so do you keep working the shit job that's stressing you out, making you miserable as fuck? while taking meds to deal with that stress? Or do you just try and find a new fucking job and maybe you don't need the meds to manage the stress from that job? You see what I'm saying here? There's things in our control that we can deal with. So I found myself in the gaming either. I tried to force myself, but could again be a health problem. I just started carnivore. And let me know how it goes for you, 7David9. I know you've become a regular on here, so let me know how that carnivore experiment goes. I look forward to hearing it. Lady Liberty speaks. I recently lost 80 pounds between keto and intermittent fasting. That's badass. That's actually, I think that's more than I've lost. I think I'm at the 70-pound mark or something like that I lost. So there's that. Holy shit. David101 just gave me a fucking ninja gidi. My donation was long overdue. Thank you for all your legit caring thoughts. Thank you very much. For those of you who are new to DLive, a ninja gidi is 1,000 Lino. It's roughly $10. Actually more like $12, I believe. So thanks. That goes a long way to keeping me streaming too. I appreciate it. Gyro spin up. I stepped out of the back door onto a possum. The fucker took off with my foot still on it. I almost did a split. Not sure if it's a dopamine hit. No, I don't think that's a dopamine hit. That's more like a stressful moment. Stressful moments happen. So, 7David and I think it's like $17. Well, unless it went up. Last I looked, it was 1.2. It was 1.2 cents per Lino last I checked, so 1,000 times that would be roughly $12. If it went up to 1.7, that's even better. I haven't kept up with the value of Lino lately, but it's crypto. It's the way it works. Who knows? Maybe it'll be publicly exchanged one day and it'll go up even more. Could happen. You never know. I am holding on to some of it as an investment here on DLive, which I get interest on. But anyways, I'm getting off topic here. Let's get back to reducing our fucking stress and our anxiety. All right. Another thing that I've done is reduced my exposure to toxic people. This is not an easy one, especially if you're pretty much like required to deal with the person, whether they're a family member or somebody that you work with or something like that. It's not easy, but if any other toxicity that you're exposing yourself to, you can reduce it just by spending less time with that person and also reducing your interactions with them whenever possible. It's not something that's easy to do, and thankfully I don't have a lot of shitty people in my life to begin with, so I'm able to pretty much keep my circle of friends right where I want it, and I'm pretty good at sniffing out toxicity up front when it comes to meeting new people, so I'm able to manage the people in my life. This is not a real major one, but I can tell you that relationships and certain friendships and things in my past were definitely huge contributors to my stress and anxiety levels. And back when I was all about the relationship shit, that was probably one of my biggest contributors to anxiety and stress, and ironically, that's a dopamine behavior as well. Since I've changed my outlook on relationships and friendships, that hasn't become an issue. I try not to worry about the judgment of my friends, and typically the only friends I keep around are the ones that don't give a shit what the fuck I'm doing and don't look down or up or whatever towards what I'm doing. They're living their lives, I'm living my life, and we're happy just being friends and not doing. Those are the kinds of people I like being friends with. I don't want to be friends with somebody knowing that at any moment that friendship's going to end if I say something they don't like or do something they don't approve of or any of that shit. My days of giving a fuck what people think of what I'm doing are long past, and this is a huge step from getting rid of stress and anxiety, getting the toxic people out of your life. Thank you, 7David9, for donating a diamond. You guys are being very generous. Even though this is already sponsored, you guys are being very generous on the stream. You guys are going to keep me being a content creator full time, aren't you? I feel like that's what people want from me. You don't have to do all of this. I'll still make videos, just so you know. But thanks again, 7David9, for your donation and shit. All right. Blue Jay 77, almost a whole year, a carnivore with no cheats. That's awesome, and apparently it's working for you. If you lasted a year, I'm still ketovore, so there's that. Lady Liberty speaks. That's probably my biggest stress: toxic people and not being able to walk away because they are family. But that doesn't mean you can't get away. You can put some distance, take breaks from the motherfuckers. All right, that's if you can't get away completely, take breaks. Whenever possible, long breaks, couple days, get away. And that'll go miles to reducing your stress. And don't ruminate. Remember that first thing I talked about? Don't think about all that shit while you're out. One of my mottos when I go out on my hikes is I leave all my shit at the trailhead. It'll be there when I get back. Yeah, I know. But while I'm out there, I'm just focused on nature, what I'm doing, how I'm surviving, and the new stressors that get introduced when you go out and survive in nature. But that's my thing. That's my way of dealing it. There's other getaways, so to speak. For some people, sitting on the beach and reading a book, or hanging out with the good friends instead of the bad friends. Don't just sit there and first of all, you can't change this person, these toxic people. You're not going to change them, no matter how much you try. That'll make you more stressed and anxious trying to change these people. But you can step away. You can control your exposure, and also you can control how you react, which we're going to get to in a few steps. But there's things that you can do in how you react to their toxicity that can lower your stress, lower your anxiety. This is something I've more recently been looking into and thinking about, and that's stoicism. But we'll get to that in a little bit. And I kind of already said this for number 7, find a lower stress job. If your job is the largest contributor to your stress in your life, you should be constantly on the job hunt for something that you would enjoy doing that would not be as stressful. Now, it's not easy to have a stress-free job. Even driving Uber or even definitely working YouTube. As a YouTuber, photography can be stressful. All of my gig economy things have their level of stress, but compared to the stress of trucking and traffic all day for 11 hours of driving, 14 hours of working, dealing with customer problems, dealing with all of this shit, my stress levels from work are way down from where they were when I was trucking. So that's one of the reasons I haven't wanted to go back, is I remember all of that shit, and you'll see it when we go through some of my old videos. The things that I was bitching about were shit that really probably shouldn't have mattered, but because I was just constantly stressed and I never got away from that stress, because trucking, you're in pretty much 24/7. Even when you're not working, you're still out there, and these are all of this added up. So if your job is the biggest problem, then it's pretty clear what the biggest solution. Now, that's not easy. I understand. You got bills to pay, you got mouths to feed, you got all kinds of responsibilities, but you can start getting yourself there. You can start working on things and always be improving your skill set so that you, especially if it's something you're passionate about wanting to do, never stop trying to achieve that goal, because otherwise you're going to sit in that stressful job for fucking 40 years of your life, maybe longer, if you're not able to retire. And that is going to take a tremendous toll on your physical and mental health. So I can't stress enough. See what I did there? Get out of that shitty job if that's what it is, if it's causing you that much problems. And so that goes back to toxic relationships too. if you have toxic people you work with, you'll get rid of that as well. Two birds, one stone and shit. So that's interesting way to approach it, I think. So David 101, sorry I'm busy, is my easiest exit card when I'm not willing to hang out. Have your reasons ready, LOL. Yeah, and the calendar is a great thing. I have my calendar, and when someone asks me to do something that I'm not really into doing, or if it's somebody I don't really want to hang out with, I'll very quickly be looking at that calendar going, oh, I got to do this. And I always have shit to do. Being self-employed, there's no shortage of stuff you got to do to keep the ship floating, so to speak. So I'm pretty busy all the time, pretty much. And I plan out my own leisure as well and mark that on my calendar. So if it's something I really would prefer to do other than what somebody else may want me to do, you got to learn to say no. That's one of the problems, though, that a lot of people run into, is they won't say no. They're afraid, anxiety, that they're going to lose or hurt their friendship or lose their relationship. Look, if the person's a true, genuine friend, they won't give a shit. Like, if you're out of their life for like a month and you suddenly step back in and everything's where it's left off, those are the kind of friends I want. And I don't want any pressure put on me to do something that I might not want to do, or for them to get upset because I didn't want to do something. This goes back to the toxicity factor. If it's a big drama that develops, that's probably something to evaluate in terms of your friendship, and maybe step back to the acquaintance level on those kinds of friends. But for me, I've found that I've managed to keep really good friends who, if I don't see them for a few weeks, they don't get butthurt about it, and we do have these great adventures together when we do hang out. That's the kind of friendships I'm into, and that goes a long way toward reducing these stress and anxiety factors. So 7 David 9, yep, the heap turnover rate and trucking is like way over 100%. That's always been that way because it's a hard life. It's definitely not something easy. I've been going on 19 years, but I'm saving up and to make sure I don't go back. I was dumb. I just leapt. I had probably $500 in the bank when I jumped ship. So yeah, I took a big shot and I got there. I've not had to go back. It's in my pocket still. I still got my CDL. I could go back, but there's a lot of things discouraging me. Even this week, you guys are you're saying, hey, we want you to make content, and you're telling me to, pretty much, essentially, and I am. So that's pretty awesome, how things work out when you remove some of the worst aspects of your life or change them. Don't be afraid to try something new. Don't be afraid to step out of that truck if it's making you miserable. There's other things to do to make money. And it depends on what you like to do or what your passions are, and try and find something that you can at least improve your skills at. One of the things out there as a trucker I was doing constantly was working on my skill set. I had a camera out there all the time. I was taking pictures. I was selling stock photos. I was editing on the truck constantly. Whenever I was stuck at a customer waiting, I was learning something. I was either watching some documentary, watching some YouTube channel, watching a lecture, listening to audiobooks was a huge thing for me out there. Work on your skill set so that you're not stuck in that fucking job that you hate. That's one of the keys to getting out of it. And it's not an easy overnight thing. It's something that requires preparation and time, which I kind of went over in the Minimalist talk that I gave. Prepare, and eventually you'll get the hell out of that truck. And I did a lot of prep before I jumped out of the truck. Granted, I should have waited and piled up a lot more of a cushion financially, but I got to a point where I was just so upset and angry about the job that I was just like, no more. So that's where I'm at now. So, and so that's it for finding the lower stress job. Number 6, practice stoicism. Now, this is an ancient philosophy. It's founded by the Greeks, I believe, and adopted by the Romans. And, there's several Stoic philosophers throughout history that have been, like Marcus Aurelius and a few others. Basically, what Stoicism is you're only concerning yourself with things within your control. And, you're training yourself to not respond to anything negative. You're only trying to respond to the positive. And it's also about bettering society in that way. You're using these skills to improve, so it's not reducing your ambition or anything. It's more like, for example, that toxic person, that you may be dealing with. If you are a practicing Stoic and they insult you or they look down upon you or they spread rumors about you, these are all behaviors on their part that you have no control over. What Stoicism emphasizes is just worry about the things that you can control and use those to mitigate the negative emotions. So you got that toxic person, you can change how you react to that. If they're insulting you, insult yourself first. Take all the wind out of their sails. If they're judging you, who cares? How does that affect your life? Okay, maybe they won't be your friend. Maybe they'll convince people you're a piece of shit. Okay, then those are people that probably weren't worth your time anyway, if they could be easily convinced by someone talking shit. These are things that you can do, and I've been reading up on it. I've been learning about it for a while and trying to practice some of the principles of it. It's not about being an emotional zombie or anything like that, but it kind of lends itself to being a minimalist too. These are two things that kind of work symbiotically to improve your lifestyle. There's no use in worrying about things you can't control. It serves very little purpose. And that goes back to the rumination thing too, thinking about things you can do nothing about at this point. And that can go a long way towards relieving anxiety as well, because if you don't give a shit that bad shit's going to happen, or you even intentionally put yourself through bad shit, which is another Stoic principle, make your life uncomfortable, live out your worst case scenario for a little bit, whenever possible, doing things like sleeping on the ground, in the woods, things that take yourself out of your comfort zone intentionally to make you appreciate how good you have it. That's another Stoic principle. It's pretty deep. Like, I could do a whole fucking podcast just on that. But the main takeaway, the first thing you should work on, is your reaction to negative things that you can't control. And that's it. There's nothing you can fucking do about it. Let it go. Get rid of it. Don't think about it. Don't give it the time of day. Focus on your reactions to these negative events in your life. Expect them. This is not a new thing. I mean, bad shit's gonna happen. You can 100% guarantee that some point in your life something fucking bad's gonna happen to you. You cannot control that. What you can control is how you react to that bad shit that's gonna happen to you. You can prepare yourself mentally. There's another thing, negative visualization, I believe it's called, is another technique where you just think about the worst possible fucking thing that's going to happen to you constantly. You're just like, well, at least once a day, they say, for maybe 15 minutes. Think about all the bad shit that could happen to you. You could die, you could fucking have a health problem, you could, somebody could fire you from your job, your whole fucking YouTube channel can go to shit. There's all kinds of things that you can run through your head, and then also run through what can you do about that, and what should your reaction be. And you just do that repeatedly, at least once a day. And then when the bad shit happens, you've already prepared for it mentally, and you'll be able to be like, well, who gives a shit? Yeah, I thought that might happen. All right, oh well, I'll deal with it like this. It's controlling your reaction to negative people, negative things, negative events is stoicism. It's basically the core tenet of it that will greatly reduce, not only will it reduce your anxiety and depression, but it'll also make you appreciate the people in your life more. It'll make you appreciate the things you have, the good things about your life. It's what it's designed to do. It's designed to make you more appreciative of the things you have, and obviously you won't want as much shit because you're happy with what you got. And the same thing with relationships. It'll make you happy with the people you're with. You'll be more appreciative of them. You'll give them more attention. You'll give them more, of your focus because you're genuinely appreciative that they're there. If your negative visualization is that nobody wants anything to fucking do with you and you're going to be alone the rest of your life, then you'll make you pretty appreciative of the friends you have. It'll make you appreciative of a girlfriend or boyfriend, depending on your situation. So look into stoicism. It turns out the ancient motherfuckers knew some shit back then that we've probably forgotten nowadays. So let's get back to the chat room. Thank you for the follow, Darren Blade 360. Glad to have you aboard. And Gyro Spin Up. I have a jug of Roundup in the shed and I don't know what to do with it. Toxic person spray? No, I think it's illegal to spray people with glyphosate, especially since it causes cancer. So I would just, I don't know, leave it in the shed, unless you're looking to get rid of your shed. I don't know that there's a safe way of disposing of it, to be honest with you, because it'll get in the groundwater, and, it is what it is. To be fair, it's not really going to change the pollution levels, whether you dispose of it, however you plan on it. There's really nothing you can do. Either you're going to, pollute or you're not going to pollute, but the problem is so much further widespread. I don't want to get sucked into the glyphosate thing because that'll trigger me, but it's a little dent. What we need is a societal change that bans the substance before we worry about what our personal contribution to the pollution level is. I would say don't put it on your lawn, don't put it anywhere in your environment, leave it in its jug wherever it is, and you'll probably be fine. That's my thoughts on that. Anyways, number 5, becoming a minimalist. Now, I did a whole podcast on this, so I'm going to spend a brief amount of time talking about it here. But I will say, when you reduce the stuff that you have to manage in the size of the roof over your head and the vehicle in your driveway, when you reduce these things or eliminate them in some cases, the stress that comes with those goes away. Hence, the anxiety that comes with those goes away. So, think about becoming more minimalist. Now, you don't have to go full minimalist like I have, and live in a little room and sleep on a fold-out couch and have everything in one little room. No, there's principles you can apply even if you're a baller living in a fucking 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house in greater suburbia, living the American fucking dream while in debt up to your eyeballs. Stress also. But if you got that debt paid off, you got all these things taken care of, guess what? That stress level drops. So you don't have to, and you do it through the principles of minimalism without, you don't even have to go as far as calling yourself a minimalist. The principle is, if it doesn't have value to your life, get rid of it. And that can be applied in a number of ways, not only to stuff, but time management, things that you do with your free time, so many levels. And definitely what you purchase and go into debt to purchase. These are all things that minimalism, I say, is one of the bigger factors in why my stress levels went down so far, is I just have less shit to worry about. All right? I know I'm going to live. I got a place to put my head. I've got food. I've got shelter. I've got clothing. And I've got everything I need to do my job, which is multiple jobs. One of them is being here talking to you today, and I have everything I need to do that. So, don't have a lot to worry about that could go wrong. If it all went belly up, if I didn't have this particular side gig, if I didn't have Uber or any of that, I would find something else. These are all things that I've negatively visualized that could change and could go away. So Darren Blade 360, there are centers where you can take and they will dispose of toxic waste. Yeah, that's probably a good call for glyphosate, even though Monsanto would say that that's not toxic waste. Darren Blade 360, at least I think they are. I want so much to be a minimalist. A desk, a bed, and a closet. That's all I need. Well, you don't have to go down to that level. Some people do. I have some nice stuff. I'm going to actually do a video this week on my room. I'm going to clean it up a little. But I'll show you the things I have in my life and why I have them. I'm going to talk about why I keep certain things. I'm going to talk about things that I have that I should get rid of or am working my way up to getting rid of, because it's a constant process. Minimalism is just something you just do and you're done. It's you're constantly thinking about it because our society doesn't make it easy to be a minimalist. It's going to bombard you at every turn with shit you should buy and, things you should spend your money on and things that, that's part of the problem. So these things cause stress, and worrying about that another person has more shit than you causes stress too. But, that's kind of a natural instinct there. Dave 101, thanks Scott, looking forward to that video. Yeah, that's one of my planned videos for the week, is the minimalist room that I live in, and I'll show it and shit. Let's see here. Number 4, try and have pleasurable experiences. Go out and do things that you enjoy that are more serotonin driven, not necessarily dopamine driven. Things that are calming, things that are peaceful, things that remove you from your stressful environment. And only you can, this is subjective. What you find calm and peaceful, it may differ from what I find calm and peaceful or anybody else. So you should find things to do that calm you, that make you relax, whatever that is. If it's on the couch watching Netflix, so be it, if that's relaxing for you. If it's vegging on a video game, addictive behavior, dopamine driven, can be stressful, but some people find that relaxing. In my case, going out in nature relaxes me almost every time. Every time I go out, even when I went to this camping trip, I was so fucking relaxed. I can't even describe to you how relaxed I was. I was laid back during this trip. And it was fucking great. I didn't think about a single problem. I didn't think about anything. I left my shit at the trailhead, so to speak. Some of the problems are there when I get back, but it turns out everything is working out just fine this week. Everything's good. I have no complaints this week about anything going on. And, I get to spend the week doing what I love to do, and that's producing content instead of doing things that I don't like to do as much. So I'm thankful for that as part of stoicism. So you can see how this all ties together to make it easier. So Darren Blade 360. Because if I have smaller things storage, maybe I'll get rid of a lot of clutter. Well, I assume that you meant clutter in your life. That's definitely less stress. If you got less shit, you got less shit to worry about. You're not worried about losing it because you don't have it. You're not worrying about somebody stealing it. You're not worrying about, anything. If you don't have it, you're not going to worry about it. And if you train yourself to not want it, then you're not going to fucking worry that you don't have something. You're not going to be upset that you can't get that fucking thing that you want. And that will reduce your stress. The minimalism goes a long way for lowering your stress levels, and by proxy also going to lower your anxiety levels because you have less shit to worry about. You're not going to be anxious about your huge house if you live in a room. You're not going to be anxious about all your stuff if you don't have a lot of stuff. That you see what I'm getting at here? You're reducing the overhead, so to speak, that causes you anxiety and stress. There's just so many things that cause this problem, which is why it's so widespread and why pharmaceutical companies are making all kinds of fucking money off of fucking drugs to help you manage what you can just manage on your own if you take the time to really evaluate these things in your life that are causing you stress. When you're stressed, identify your stressor. What the hell is causing that? And verbalize it if you have to, but focus on what's causing it, and can you do something about it? Can you remove that stressor from your life? If you can, you should. If you can't, can you change how you react to that stressor? How you let it affect you? That's where the stoicism comes in. If it's an item, minimalism comes in. If it's how you spend your time, minimalism. Change your job if it's your job. If it's a toxic person in your life, reduce your exposure or eliminate, if possible, that person from your life. These are all things to do to reduce your stress and anxiety levels, and I can tell you from experience that it works. It does work. And it requires vigilance because you can easily slip back into the hole and have a lot of negative, toxic things in your life and people. And so it requires a little maintenance over time so you don't slip back into that. But overall, it's important to reduce these things from your life. All right. So number 3, I've kind of mentioned it before. I'm not going to beat this one to death. Nutrition and alcohol. Get healthy and lower your drinking. I see so many people who treat their stress and anxiety and depression with alcohol. And I can tell you as a former alcoholic, I hope I'm a former alcoholic. Jury's still out on that. Still haven't drank since I quit drinking, so I'm still good there. Still sober as fuck. I can tell you that alcohol never helped me with any of that. In fact, a lot of stress was caused by my consumption of alcohol. Yet I see person after person drinking themselves silly because they're unhappy, miserable, or stressed about their life. And it doesn't cure anything. It doesn't really help. Sometimes your dopamine level will be enough to where you forget about your shit for a little bit, but not only will all of the problems still be there the next morning, you'll have a fucking really bad hangover and miserable, and you've probably created a few new problems to go with it. So reduce the alcohol. If you can't eliminate it, you need to get it down. If you're drinking constantly because you're unhappy or miserable in life and that's the only way you feel better, it's an illusion. It doesn't fucking work. So get rid of that shit. Same thing with comfort eating and eating sugary shit, and these are all things that are dopamine spikes, and they do the opposite. They cause you more stress. Because if you're doing these huge dopamine spikes driven by hedonic behaviors, you're going to be anxious whenever you're not engaging in those behaviors. It's going to make you worse when you're not on the drug or alcohol than when you are. And that's personal experience there. If you had a different experience, by all means tell me. That's why we're here live. You can share that shit. But for me, the more I drank, the worse my stress and anxiety was. Period. Get rid of the drinking, get rid of that. So, and prior to me being keto and carnivore, I will tell you my anxiety levels were shit. I was not happy. I was a miserable fuck. I was depressed a lot. I had mental health problems. I'm a lot better now than I was then. And nutrition has definitely been a huge factor, right alongside minimalism, to helping me get here to where my anxiety levels are so low that they're almost non-existent, and that when something stressful happens, I know how to deal with it, and that I've removed a lot of bad things from my life, and not just remove them, but remove my desire to do them. That's what has been key for me. I don't need certain things anymore. I don't want certain things anymore. And that means I'm not stressed because I can't get them, or I can't have certain things, because I've reduced, I've changed the way I see it. I've changed my outlook. If I don't want these things, then I don't get stressed out when I don't have them. I don't have anxious when I do have them. I don't get anxious that I'm going to lose them. There's a great deal of thought that needs to go into this if you're looking to do this on your own. And I wouldn't say it's an easy process. It's been a journey. This whole 4 years has been a journey of mental health. And I started out 4 years ago. I was in a relationship, and I was not the best mental health in that matter. And I was drinking like a fish, and it was causing problems. And where I'm at today mentally, leaps and bounds better. Not perfect. No one is. You'll never achieve perfection, and you'll stress yourself out trying to. You'll never achieve optimal health either. You'll stress yourself out trying to. But that goes back to the stoicism, being appreciative of what you have, and not, and how you changing your outlook, changing the way you respond to this fucked up outside world that is going to cause us so much stress, so much anxiety. So, number 2, we kind of went over it, so I don't need to say much about this, but spending time in nature. Believe it or not, we're designed to be out there. That is where we will feel the best, where our health will be the best. The longer you can go, the better. Obviously, some people have overloaded their lives with things that prevent them from getting out there. But I can tell you, at first it won't feel like it. It's something you just got to do a few times before you get into the groove. Because when I first started doing it, I was just like, I was still ruminating while I was out there. I was, it took a lot of self-training, self-discipline, and practice to get to where I could actually be out in nature and fully enjoy the fact that I'm out there. That the only thing that matters when I'm out in nature is what's going on in my environment around me. And it's not always pretty and fun. Sometimes you get hailed on or rained on, or sometimes, nature slaps you around a little bit. But you know what happens when nature, this is another Stoic principle, it slaps you around, it makes you feel like shit, everything's gone wrong while you're out there, and then you get home. And you're like, oh my God, my life is great. So, yes, it's another thing that, while it may not always be the most pleasurable thing to be out in nature, it will definitely make you appreciate things. Even if you're not a nature motherfucker, just getting out there and exposing yourself to a period of discomfort, of a lack of modern conveniences, will make you way more appreciative of the things you have, and will make you, I don't know, you might even discover that some of the things that you think were important when you got home aren't as important, because nature done slapped you around and, let you know that, hey, who gives a shit about that Facebook post? I'm just happy to be alive, So that's why I like doing it. Not only does it take me out of this toxic environment that we are all in, but it makes me appreciative of the good things that I do have. And that's pretty fucking valuable if you're trying to reduce stress and anxiety. It goes a long way to be happier with what you got, instead of constantly wanting more or doing things all the time, that cause you stress and anxiety. And spending time in nature goes a very long way for me. That's probably one of my biggest. If I feel overwhelmed by anything, I throw on my backpack, I put that shit in my car, I look up all trails. Is there a trail I haven't explored? And off I go. And then by the time I get back, whatever the fuck was stressing me out is usually either past, or I don't even fucking worry about it anymore, because nature might have slapped me around a little bit. Sometimes nature lets you have a good time too, lets you relax. Like, there's been times when I was out at Pine Pond and it was just fucking great. It was just peaceful. It was warm. It was happy. I could get a fire going easy. Everything was fucking great. It was like a fucking vacation. I'd sit there, listen to an audiobook or read a book or read something, and it was great. And, but every once in a while nature likes to let you know that you're not in charge. And sometimes we need that. We need to have our ass kicked every now and then. We need to have our perspective aligned properly, instead of trying to, because that's one of the cores of anxiety and fear, is you don't allow yourself the opportunity to experience hardship, and it makes it worse for you, because you could miss out on intensely pleasurable things that could be a boon or life-changing experiences, because you let your anxiety prevent you from taking the risk that's involved. There's a risk involved in anything. Going out in nature is risky. There's a lot of bad things that have happened to people out there. If I worried about that, I wouldn't do it, would I? If I worried about bears, would I go hiking alone in the Adirondacks? Probably not. If I'm worried about serial killers, would I be out there on the trail by my... Probably not. But I don't worry about that, because I can't control those things. And I'm not going to let my fears prevent me from doing something that I believe is giving me positive benefits. Bad shit can happen. You can't control that. No use worrying about it. Zero. So that's my thoughts on that, and spending time in nature. Let's see here. Let's catch up here. Nah, I don't need alcohol, Darren Blade said. And when I'm stressed, I really can't eat because I feel irrational guilt and prefer not to stress eat. I love walking in the rain. I'd love to live in a cabin. If you love walking in the rain, it's pretty easy to do. You just wait for a nice good fucking rainstorm, go out to your local park, and go for a nice walk. Should be something that you can just do, whenever it rains. If you want to have a cabin, you can work on it. Start working on it. Find a cheap-ass piece of land. They're not hard to find cheap land. It's usually far away from shit with no cell signal. Save up for it. Don't go into debt. And just start with buying the land. Then work your way up to throwing a shed or something on there. Something that you can put a fucking sleeping bag in. Maybe start building it up into a tiny house. And lo and behold, eventually you could probably build a full cabin. There's motherfuckers that's their thing. That they started building a cabin from scratch in the woods. Yeah, I watch them on YouTube. It's fucking awesome. I don't have that kind of time, so I can't do something like that. Someday, my hope is to get to a point where I have a tiny house somewhere on a nice piece of land, and even if I don't live there full time, that I can at least get there and spend lots of time. But for me, I'm kind of been more of a wanderer, hence being a truck driver. So I probably am more likely to be a vehicle dweller when it comes to getting out there. I'm perfectly content to spend all my time outside and only sleep, in a tent or in a car, when I'm not out there. I don't need a big, elaborate structure with which to spend all my fucking time in, because you're not going to spend a lot of time. It's a shelter for you to, when nature's beating your ass, it's a place to go. That's pretty much all a cabin in the woods is good for. The woods is still there. All of nature is still there for you to play with. Whether or not you have a nice big huge cabin to go to, I don't know, you might evaluate that. Would it be just as good with a tent? Would it be just as good to throw a sleeping bag in the back of your car and just park it on the land, have fire, sit down, do all that shit, go hunting, go fishing, whatever it is you want to do, set up a camp? You don't have to necessarily need a cabin, unless it's wintertime maybe, but nobody wants to go out in the winter. I don't even like going out in the winter. That's when I know nature's 100% going to kick my ass, is in the wintertime. So 7 David 9. That's my goal. A nice size studio apartment out in the country. And they're cheap out there, too. That's the other thing. The further away from cities you get, the cheaper the cost of living is. So think about that. You know, you don't need a lot of money to get to these places. All of these things I've been describing that I've been doing, I do on minimum wage, essentially. An annual minimum wage income level is where I've been at this past year. And I still haven't wanted to go back to my $60,000 a year trucking job. Even with $8,000 to $10,000 sign-on bonuses they're offering. Because nobody wants to fucking do it. So, you know, that's kind of my thoughts on that. So definitely spending time in nature. Now my number one thing for reducing stress and anxiety, it took me a while. This is not something I did right away. This is more recent. Disconnecting from media and social media. I don't know if you've been watching lately. I don't know if you've been keeping tabs on things. But media and social media have gone to complete shit. It's a big, triggered, pissed off, social justice, fucking miserable, fucking cesspool that I no longer want to participate in. I haven't deleted, but I have definitely reduced my exposure to social media. It even came up on the camping trip. You know, my friend was like, "Oh, don't you know I was doing this?" And I was like, "No, don't you know I don't look at Facebook? Maybe once a week if I'm lucky." And I went a few weeks without looking at it, and it was fucking great. It was great because everybody I encountered in my life I had to catch up with. I was like, "Hey, can you put your phone down for a minute so we can talk about what you've been up to? Because I haven't fucking been watching the phone. You got to fucking talk to me and shit." So, you know, these are all, and it's fucking great. One of the best things I've done, and I wanted to touch on this with a video reaction too towards the end here. One of the best things I did was deleting Facebook, Twitter, Instagram off of this motherfucker here. I still got Snapchat on there. I haven't responded or looked at that for a while. Sorry, Angela Gray. I know you were trying to message me through there. Not the best place to message me because I might not get to it right away. But I don't look at it. I don't find myself wanting to flip through Snapchats. Or, you know, Instagram I was flipping through because I'm a photographer. But even as a photographer, I've kind of dropped Instagram. You know, it's still there. I still might throw some images on it every now and then, but it's no longer giving a lot of attention to. I don't post very often, if at all. I only post if I feel that there's something that my friends that are addicted to it need to know. And it turns out there's not a whole lot that I can't really just talk to them about when I see them. If there's somebody I haven't seen in a long time, it's great that I haven't posted shit on fucking Facebook, and it's great that I haven't seen their posts because we can sit there and talk about shit. And I can't tell you how many times I start off the conversation when somebody's like, "Well, didn't you see this?" And I'm like, "No," and they'll whip the fucking thing out and they'll show me the post or whatever, or the pictures, you know, and it's great because when you post a picture on social media, you don't know who gives a shit or is looking at it. But when you're in person and someone's like, "Well, did you see this?" And I was like, "No." And then they whip their phone out and they're like, "Hey, take a look." And they show you, they hand it to you, and you laugh about it or cry about it or whatever the hell it is. And it makes it so much more meaningful, the encounter, than just flipping through the shit while you're sitting on the shitter. You know, that's more productive. It's more socially better, I think. And not to mention, we don't need a lot of this information, because what social media and media is going to do is fill your head full of shit that you have zero control over. You might have a strong opinion on it, but there ain't a fucking thing you can do. You can drive yourself nuts trying to change some shit. You can become an activist and go down and throw fucking milkshakes at people or whatever the fuck it is you think you're going to do to fix that problem that's not going anywhere, because as soon as you fix that problem, there's another problem, and there's another problem. And we're not designed to deal with that level of stress that this fucking thing is bringing into your life. 9 times out of 10, I have my phone on Do Not Disturb. As in, even if somebody calls or texts, I don't find out till later. So if you call or text me or message me or do any of that shit, I might not respond right away. You're just going to have to live with that. That you don't have instant access to me. And that also means I don't have instant access to you. And I believe that is a hell of a lot healthier for your mental health than a lot of these other things I've been listing. Because I see a lot of this. This has been out of fucking control for just about everybody. But don't take my word for it, because you know what? Somebody famous recently talked about this, and I want to share it with you in this fucking stream. So let me get this fired up here, and let's listen to somebody who has a lot more subscribers than I do talk about this, and arguably somebody who should be relying on social media, you would think. Let's hear it here. So we got that. Here we go. This is Casey Neistat. Casey Neistat, whether you like him or hate him, has 11 million subscribers. I don't always watch him, but occasionally pops up thanks to the algorithm promoting certain people over other people that never pop up that I want to watch. Anyways, without getting bitter about YouTube again, let's listen to some of his video.
I have a problem. It's serious. This is not a joke. I have a bona fide, proper, no sarcasm, but proper addiction to social media. And let me just qualify what that means.
And if you don't think social media is addictive, just give it up. Put it down. How does it see? Tell me how it goes. Do 30 days without it. I can't, even now, without the apps on my phone, I still pull this motherfucker out, wanting to flick. That's fucking weird. I'll pull it out, and I'm like, nothing's going on, I have an idle moment, I pull my phone out, and I'm just like, oh, wait a minute, I could flick through Minds, but I kind of don't want to get addicted to that. Sometimes I'll just read my YouTube comments, and that's about the extent of my flicking, I spend remarkably less time on this. I'm like one of the only people in my social group that can actually go out. Maybe Mr. Anderson. He's pretty good about it too. But I can go out, and this fucking thing stays in my pocket the whole night. And interact with people. Yet I'll be surrounded by people that are just like, yeah, you fucking yeah. I don't want to hang out with you and look at phones together. It's just not my thing. I want your attention, or I don't need to hang out. That's kind of the thing. And you'll have my undivided attention if we hang out. That's kind of how it works. It's a thing. It's an addiction. It's definitely 100% a dopamine-driven behavior.
I use the word addiction, by the way, very lightly. I have friends who have struggled with chemical addictions. It's not that. Maybe a better descriptor for it would be to call it a destructive habit, because it has a...
It's addiction. All right, it doesn't need to be chemical addiction. Dopamine is a driver of addiction.
Negative impact on my life. Okay, but what it looks like is this. I can't have a conversation, I can't sit through a movie, I can't hang out in real life with friends, I can't make it through dinner, I can't make it through a...
How many people, first of all, does this sound like you? And how many people do you see in your life that have this problem?
Conversation. I can't drive my car more than a couple of blocks, very dangerous, without thumbing through social media. And this isn't some thing that I justify as it's for work or I need to know what's going on. This is mindless scrolling. This is that thing you do on Twitter, that thing you do on Instagram. There's nothing behind it.
So ask yourself, how much mindless scrolling are you doing? Darren Blade 360. My only social media is YouTube and streaming sites like this one. I'm kind of addicted to YouTube, but it's like that in a way to escape my routine. Now, here's the difference, and he goes over this later in the video. You should watch his 2 videos on this. He did this video, and then there's another video that we're not going to show that where he goes over all of his couple weeks so far or whatever without it. The difference between YouTube, which is considered social media is the amount of noise. You're going to be exposed to shit on Twitter and even Minds and Facebook that you may not be exposed to on YouTube at all. Why? Because when you go on YouTube, you generally are searching for something. You want to watch a video on something, or you subscribe to somebody whose videos you like watching. So 9 times out of 10, you're going on YouTube with kind of a mission. Every once in a while, the algorithm gods will throw a clickbait in front of you, and you'll click it, and you'll be like, oh, this video sucks, and then you'll move on to the next video. So you do get a little bit of noise on YouTube, but on Facebook and Twitter, you're going to see all kinds of shit that's going to piss you off, that's going to upset you. Every once in a while, you see a good post. That's where the dopamine-driven addiction comes in. You get a whole bunch of shit. You're flicking. Oh, this sucks. Oh, this motherfucker loves Trump. Oh, this motherfucker does this. Or this motherfucker, oh, he's offensive. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, my God, it's a cute cat with fucking meme on it. And you get a little dopamine hit. You know, it's really... It's become a useless activity. But it's designed to fuck with your dopamine system, which is why it becomes addictive. And if you can identify that you're addicted to it, which a lot of people can't, that's the first step to figuring out how to deal with it. I've joined this delete it off your phone movement that he's talking about doing himself, where I only check it if I'm at home on my computer, and only if I have a little extra time to, which a lot of times I don't, which is why I went 2 weeks without looking at it. I didn't have time to sit here and waste looking at shit on Facebook. And what I missed during that time was an event invite that I didn't get because I hadn't seen the person and talked to them about it, that I could have gone to, but I probably didn't want to after doing the camping thing anyway. I missed a few pictures that were posted that other people took of me. I made sure to put those in my timeline when I checked in, and I looked for any other event invites. Did not flick. I did not scroll through. I looked through my notifications, and anything that had to do with something that I needed to do, or something that I was invited to, or something that maybe somebody tagged to me, or a friend request, I went through that top bar, I changed it, or fucked with it, or looked at the posts that people tagged me in or something that wanted to talk to me, or comments that people wanted to say to me. And then once that was done, I got off. I didn't flick through the feed. I don't look at the feed. I didn't post anything about me in the feed. I just went in to make sure that the people that I care about that are still in that mess, that I at least check in from time to time, just in case they think that's the best way to get a hold of me. I've been going around making sure to train everybody that's friends with me that, look, if you want me to do some shit, or you want to talk to me, or you want to share something with me, you're going to have to fucking text me, or call. Those are the ways to talk to me, or hang out with me when I'm out. These are all ways of interacting that don't include me flicking through your shit for hours out of the day, So let's see. When I was younger, it was considered rude to read at the dinner table. This is Blue Jay 77. The parents would enforce this, but now the parents are so addicted that the whole family is there playing on their cell phones. And I see that all the time. A table full of motherfuckers. You just go into a restaurant and you'll see tables of people staring at their phones. I'd say every 2 out of 3 Uber rides, actually almost 3 out of 3. It was pretty fucking close to 3 out of 3. They're in the back on the cell phone. They don't even talk to me, and that's fine. I'm happy with that. That's a good thing. However, it is a thing. You're riding around in some stranger's car. You don't want to know anything about them. Yeah, that's surprising to me. I ask a few questions whenever I'm an Uber passenger. But no, most people are staring at the phones. I've had entire groups of friends get in, 3 or 4 friends, all on their phones, not really talking, or talking about what's on their phones to each other. And it's just so shallow and meaningless, it feels like, when you're in that situation where it's, if you're hanging out with somebody and they're always on their phone, you don't connect. You don't get anything out of the social interaction because you don't have their undivided attention, and if you're doing it, they don't have your undivided attention, and it's really hard to hang out and do anything or, talk about anything because you're busy. And nobody wants you to nobody wants you to say, hey, do you see this meme? That's one of my pet peeves when I'm hanging out with somebody and they're flicking through their phone while they're hanging out with me, and they're just like, and they start laughing, they burst out, oh, you see this meme? I'm like, oh, yeah, it's great. Yeah, thanks for making me look at that. Thanks. I don't care about memes. If I want to look at memes, I'll look at memes. I don't get any enjoyment out of the content that's on Facebook anymore. Not a single post gives me a dopamine hit on there. I have not once. But a lot of the posts will piss me off or trigger me, or or you use it as a gauge as how your life looks against other people's lives. You use, it takes that whole comparing your life to other people's to that new level of causing you stress and anxiety. If you take all of that noise out of the system, if you're getting rid of all of this crap, that usually it's other people's problems or other people's successes, and it's cool to enjoy a friend's success as long as you don't let it change your perspective on your own life. And a lot of people put highlight reels on these things that make you think that their life is great when it isn't. It's just as fucked up as your life 9 times out of 10. But they're not going to show you all the fucked up stuff. They're going to show you the 10th time when it wasn't fucked up, and it's great. It looks great. I've probably done this a few times myself. Just posted something that's going good and I wanted to share it with everybody. And then I started to be like, well, it's probably not good to share that with everybody because it might make them unhappy with what they're doing. I don't know. It's a new concept, this whole spending all of our life on social media.
No benefit. There's no upside. Just scrolling. I carry
You do get a little dopamine every now and then with the scrolling.
Two phones at all times, all day, every day. I carry an iPhone and then whatever the latest and greatest Android phone is. And if you've ever...
Why would you carry two? That's wasteful. The minimalist in me is going nuts, Casey.
Met me, like most people, this is what it looks like. I average 59 minutes.
That's one day screen time. Wonder what my screen time is today. Let's see. I want to compare my screen time to, let's see, how do I say? That's not just Instagram, too. I don't know how to look that up. I'll have to figure that out. But I'm pretty sure I haven't looked at my phone more than... Actually, no. I had to take a shit earlier today, and I was playing a little game on my phone. And that was probably an hour worth of staring at my phone. Wasn't looking at social media, though.
It's 1 hour a day on Instagram, 47 minutes a day.
Gotta do something while you're sitting on the throne. I don't know that I sit on the throne enough to make social media something I want to do. Oh, I skipped.
Average 59 minutes, that's 1 hour a day.
Dave 101, back in the MSN days, 90s, conversations were legit, caring, and most between two people. Nowadays, it's look what I got. That's exactly true. And that's going to make people stressed. It's going to make people unhappy. It's going to make people depressed. So many people have got depression nowadays. You think they want to see your fucking great life? Because it makes them feel inadequate with their lives. And that's the other thing that you can change mentally when you're trying to work on yourself and your stress and anxiety levels is... Oh, shit. Thank you, Paul Bain Jr. for the Tutti fucking fruity. I appreciate it. So we could turn that back down. But, when you train yourself to not really care about, how much more someone else has or how much less they have or anything like that, and comparing yourself and feeling inadequate because you don't have the life that they are portraying on social media, when you train yourself to not give a shit about any of that, you find yourself not, happy even flicking. I flick through, oh, there's another picture of them in the fucking paradise again. Yay. We don't want that. I've never looked at someone's post of somebody doing something that I wish I was doing and been like, oh yeah, that's awesome, I'm glad they're doing that. Have you done that? I mean, have you looked and been like, oh, my friend's in the Bahamas, and then look at that, they're on the beach, they got a drink in their hand, they're fucking relaxing, and I'm in my shit fucking 14-hour-a-day job stuck in traffic. Motherfucking piece of shit, why are you showing me that? Fuck you! Alright, so maybe that's... I may or may not have reacted to a post like that every now and then, but that's what your instinct's going to be. You're not going to be like, oh, I'm so happy my friend's down there enjoying that. No, you're going to be like, fuck my life. Why can't I be doing that? And then you start that rumination process. You start this whole stress fucking generating process. And it's a bad recipe. And don't forget the media part of the social media. Because the media is using the same clickbait textbook that social media is by. In fact, you're going to find the media on YouTube, on Facebook. You're going to find them on Twitter. You're definitely going to find them on Twitter. They're all over this. They know. And they're doing the worst tactics. Things that are designed to trigger and upset you and make you outraged because you will click it. And they will earn. The media is one of the things that I've not missed cutting out. I get exposed to it every once in a while. I'll see a miscellaneous mainstream news story on YouTube, or I'll be out somewhere and somebody will have the TV on and I'll be watching and shaking my head disapprovingly sometimes. But I do not intentionally spend any of my fucking time watching mainstream television and media. I don't. I've got a Netflix subscription that I'm about to turn off because I legit, even, with Stranger Things, which is a show I like, I haven't found the time or the desire to spend time watching it because I don't know. I haven't gone to a movie in a while because this whole fucking toxicity is spread into those areas. And I don't need to be virtue signaled or any of that other shit when I'm watching shit. I want to escape all of that shit. I don't want to watch movies about it. I don't want to watch TV shows about it. Not that I'm saying any of the, that's what that thing is. But a lot of entertainment has become that. They're taking the things that we're triggered about here in media and social media, and they're making them, and they're building them into these movies and TV shows. And that's not what I want from my movies and TV shows. I want something different. I want a good story. I want good characters. I want something that doesn't have a formula, or that isn't like a 10th fucking sequel and where's the original shit? I want original shit. Can't get original shit nowadays. 7 David 9 just donated $1. I'll catch the replay later. See ya. Thank you, and thank you again, 7 David 9, for the donation, and I appreciate yous and shit. The stream is freezing up, but that's trucking. LOL. I'll catch the replay. The replay will be on YouTube, so enjoy it there too. It'll probably play a lot. Some people have problems with the replays. I understand. I haven't had an issue with watching things on DLive, but that's just me. Every once in a while I had to refresh if my app, if I was using the phone app, I'd have to cut off and close the app and refresh, so that's a thing. Chode Master Flex. Each successive generation of society gets more insane, it seems. That's a true story, and it's driven by social media and the media. So Darren Blade 360, that's what news do. Have you seen this celebrity within 5 hours and 3? And shut the fuck up. Nobody cares what that person has. And that's the other thing. I don't need celebrities telling me how to live my life or anything like that, because for some reason people equate their success to a happy life. And I can tell you celebrities are self-medicating 10 times more than the average motherfucker if you look at how it plays out in Hollywood and shit. And how many of them are truly happy with all of that money, fame, and power or whatever, or influence? I don't know. I I can't say that they've all been happy, that's for sure, because they're medicated, they're going through divorces, they're doing all the stupid shit that we do down here in the trenches. So I don't really look up to them. So if they have an opinion on something and it's based solely on the fact just that they're famous, I kind of don't give a shit. And I don't think anybody else should either. That's just me. If you... I don't know. It depends on what you find value in, I guess. I don't find value in celebrity advice or celebrities telling me how to vote or celebrities telling me what to be outraged about or who to condemn or any of that. I don't want any part of any of that shit. I do not want to be in this toxic social justice fucking world that we're turning into, because I don't want to be pissed off all the time. I don't want to be outraged about everything. I don't want to fucking think about shit that I really have no control over. All I have control over is me. And it's a waste of my time, energy, and effort to give a fuck about any of the bullshit that seems to be pissing everyone off nowadays. And that's where I stand on it. And that has gone a long way towards my mental health. It's definitely been a huge boon to me getting the fuck away from this shit. Psychic Outlaw. I was wondering when I was going to see you pop up in here. Hey, I caught part of this for a change. I'm in Pacific time. I'm trying so hard to sell almost all my stuff and get the heck out of LA, and it is so slow. Who needs that? All this celeb stuff. Just keep working on it. You'll get there. Eventually, downsizing, like I said before on the other podcast, is something that it's an ongoing process, and if you prepare properly and you do it right and get to a place that's less stressful, less cheap, or that's more cheap, obviously, than LA would be, I think you'll find a great reduction in stress and changing your environment. That's a good point, too. The whole environment thing is a thing. So let's finish up with Casey Neistat's journey towards realizing he's just as fucked up as the rest of us are.
Day on Instagram, 47 minutes a day on Twitter.
He's a celebrity, too.
An hour and 46 minutes a day just between Twitter and Instagram. A significant amount of my day is spent on that.
Some people spend a lot more than that
scrolling.
In fact, he's kind of light in that. He must keep pretty busy otherwise.
And that's just like the time part. That's just the part. That's just how much of my life I lose when it comes to time. Forget about like the health implications of it. I'm not a super insecure guy, but when I'm thumbing through Instagram, like, it's almost an involuntary human emotion or human reaction to be comparing yourself or your
And that's exactly what I just went over.
Life with other people's lives. And then, like, I'm not a particularly politically active person, but when I'm thumbing through Twitter, I follow a lot of news outlets, and like, I see that Donald Trump called Tim Cook Tim Apple, which is funny, and I laugh at it, and then I scroll down and like...
Oh, and so many people get outraged about Trump, and the media is all over outraging you about Trump. I don't even see his tweets. I don't even know what the fuck he's doing. I just know that nobody's come knocking on my door and told me something I was doing couldn't do it anymore. If they did, I'd be a little upset, and I'd do something about it as far as votes and, participating in politics. But politics has become a cesspool of shit. And they're not solving a lot of problems, and this administration included. They haven't really made things worse for me in any way that I can quantify right now, but that they haven't made things better either. I'd say we're just pretty much treading water where we're at right now as far as our government is concerned. But they're all so bickering about the same social justice shit, well, consequently not worrying about some more important shit that we should be worrying about. And it's fucking... I don't know. I just take myself out of that equation by not paying attention. And sometimes I check out, like, I do have a few news commentators I've watched here. I've stopped watching some of them. I'm just like, I don't watch them as much because I kind of don't want to know. I'm happy in my little bubble where, when something major happens, I tend to hear about it. I am a social creature. I do work in a bar. People talk about shit. It's great to be able to talk about shit and not have to find out through here all the time. And a lot of people told me to be like, hey, did you see this? It's a thing. So, yeah, it is what it is. So we're going to, I would recommend watching just do quit social media search and just watch people's experimentation with this and journey with it, some of whom are not nearly as famous and celebrity as Casey Neistat, but I used to watch him every now and then, and I still do. I find his method of vlogging very interesting. So, and I like some of his camera stuff and some of the tech stuff that he goes over. But other than that, he's kind of the opposite of me in a lot of principles as far as minimalism and so on and so forth. But he goes on to, say how, he's moving out of New York. He's doing a lot of changes in his life right now, interestingly enough, to where allow him to spend more time with his kids and his family and to back off, it seems, from the things he's been doing, because he's realizing he's missing out on our most important asset, and that's time. And the more time you give out and waste flicking and doing all this other shit that you should probably cut out of your life, the less time you have to do the meaningful and valuable things in your life. Thank you for the follow, Digital Residue. Okay, so just so you know, there is a voice chat feature for anybody who wanted to chat. It's the Discord. I'm going to go ahead and post the link. This link is only good for one day. But I am in there in case anybody wants to voice chat talking about this topic. The link, I just posted it in the chat. Yeah, that's where we're at. Those are the things you can do to manage your stress. And I don't know. We'll see. So we're going to sit here and if you have any questions for me, you're watching, go ahead and throw them in the chat. I'm paying closer attention to chat as we get ready to close out this video. Psychic Outlaw, I see yet another astrologer who is more right-wing, that is one party of elites, supports Trump. Sasha Boren and Dr. D of astrology is amazing, very anti-New World Order. I don't even like being involved in the political spectrum anymore. I used to be into it. I used to follow politics, and it's such a turnoff now. I mean, they're not solving any of the problems that are important to me, like the food industry, the pharmaceutical problems, the fact that everyone around me is unhealthy in some way because of our food environment, because of our lifestyle, and they're not really improving things. Last I checked, there's no legislation coming down the line. The food guidelines are going to be vegan, most likely. They're doing nothing about the pharmaceutical industry pretty much becoming drug dealers and causing these opioid epidemics all over the country. No, we're worried about, I think, some of the wrong things right now, and the media is like, be mad about this, and there's a bunch of people that are being mad about that. But I'm one of the people over here that's not paying attention to what the media is telling me to be pissed off about. So I have my own little set of shit that I'm pissed off about. And nobody in Congress is currently talking about it. Nobody in the president isn't talking about it. He's too busy talking shit to his opposing votes and shit. And so nobody in the government really gives a shit about the things that are important to me. So there's nothing I can do about that. I have no control over that. All I can do is not pay attention. It's hard not to pay attention. It's not something that's easy because people have strong opinions on this stuff because the medium has everyone all riled up about it. So when you're talking with people, it's often going to come up. Things that people are upset about or things that, are going on in this spectrum. And what I like to say to people that genuinely engage in a conversation with me about this stuff is I don't care. I don't give a shit about that. Doesn't affect me. You shouldn't let it affect you so much because there's nothing you can do about it. And I don't know. There's some flaws with that philosophy, but I think in our current environment, it's healthier than the alternative. Darren Blade 360, very cool stream. I'm relaxed and learned a lot from you. I like the way you think about life and everything else. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I try. I'm pretty good at running my mouth and letting my fucking thoughts out. So I guess that's pretty much what you can expect when you watch my shit. Psychic Outlaw. Well, it ain't like I gotta go vote, or I'm gonna vote or anything. LOL. And my vote doesn't count anyway. No matter what I do, the New York always lands in one direction, so I don't often bother. Psychic Outlaw. Well, it was Alpha Coops. SJW Cory Booker wants meatless Mondays. Well, fuck that shit. I'm gonna make it meat only Monday. How's that? That's my Monday. I ain't gonna let nobody fucking tell me how to eat. Oh, and don't. I am getting upset about a lot of the vegan or vegetable or plant-based push that's going on through legislation, through our food system, pretty much being prepared to guilt us out of that fucking eating cows and shit. Don't even get me started. I'm not happy about it. That it's going to be harder and harder to be a carnivore or a ketovore going forward because of this crap. You know what? We're not really talking about that, are we? And that's a pretty important one. What you eat is one of the essential fucking survival things. And if the food that is you need to be healthy, in my opinion, is going to be less and less available and more expensive if it is available, and that's not a good thing. That's a pretty important thing that we're just not, the government doesn't talk about, doesn't give shit about. Why? Because both sides can agree that they want to make money, and they want the corporations that pay for their campaigns to be happy. And who's paying for those campaigns? Who's paying the lobbyists? Who's funding the government, essentially? Not just through that, but through taxes and the economy. They're not going to listen to me. They're going to listen to the people that are paying the bills. And, my little tax dollars do not compete with the corporate lobbying that goes on. That's my opinion on that. I hate this Meatless Monday thing. This is Psychic Outlaw. Del Taco sent coupons with their meatless tacos, impossible meat in them. Yeah, fuck that. And at Meatless Monday, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that's all government facilities are probably doing that, in hospitals. I don't know. But yeah, that's what the problem is with, if you don't fix the food guidelines, is you're going to get forced to eat that shit occasionally, and it's not good. I will never, ever eat fake meat. All right? You can take that fake meat, vegans, and shove it right up your ass, because I'm not fucking eating it. I don't care if I have to go hunting, or be an illegal hunter at some point, if it gets outlawed that you can't hunt for meat. I'm going to eat my fucking meat, whether if I have to go learn to do it myself, or whether I can buy it from an organic farm or something, maybe. But one way or another, I'm going to keep eating meat, eggs, and all the shit I normally eat. And if I can't do it here, I'll go somewhere where I can. That's pretty much my thoughts on that. Paul Bain Jr., minimal use of noise we chose to enter our brain. That's the thing. We're letting too much noise in to our brain. There's just so much crap that we don't need to know. And a lot of it is generating stress, anxiety, and problems. So, Alpha Coop, it's called the Impossible Burger because it's impossible to read the list of ingredients in under 1 minute. That's that's fucking true. If it's got an ingredient list, it's probably not healthy. That's generally the thing. Lady Liberty speaks. You're in New York. Didn't de Blasio pass Meatless Mondays for the schools up there? That's New York City. I'm in upstate New York. But it wouldn't surprise me if that has become a thing in all of our schools. We are a blue state. Although sometimes the state government does, in the upstate areas, lean to the right. But you can bet your ass that any of this crap that's been going on in New York City does filter its way into the rest of the state eventually. But no. Last I checked, you're not outlawed. You can still have fucking meat in New York City. It's just they're doing it in schools, and probably hospitals or any government facilities are going to be meatless. So bring a lunch, if you want to eat your meat and shit. Keto Andy UK. Hey Scott, my 20-year-old veggie daughter wants to lose weight on keto. Know any good bloggers for this? I assume you mean vegan daughter. There are keto vegans out there. It is an even harder version of veganism to pull off, and it's not nutritionally fulfilling. However, I will say, if she goes whole foods vegan or raw vegan, that's probably the path to weight loss. You're going to lose a lot of weight. It's not the right way to lose weight, in my opinion, but if she's averse to eating meat and wants to lose weight, don't be a standard American vegan. That's it. Get the grain gone, get the sugar gone. Don't load up on fruit smoothies and shit. And try and make sure you get some form of protein, even though it's plant protein. It's not as good, but, you know, vegetarian, okay, well then eggs and cheese whenever possible, a lot with the vegetables. But avoid the grains. Don't do grain at all, would be my advice for a keto vegan. Increase the fat levels from butter, preferably, would be the best. If she's averse to that, I would say go with probably coconut oil or olive oil as the fat. But she needs to load up on that. Make it, you know, it's a lot of that has to be fat and not carbs. So it's basically low carb without the meat, and she should have some more. She should up her content of eggs and that kind of stuff. So that's my thoughts. If I were recommended a vegetarian to go keto, I would say just up the fat, get rid of the processed foods and grains, and you'll probably lose some weight that way. You might just lose weight just by giving up the grains, even if you don't get full ketosis levels. But we'll see, you know. Experiment, do an elimination style diet, and see what happens. So, Psychic Outlaw, Vegetable Police is drinking celery juice and finally had some sardines. He is so thin. Yes, I did watch his video today about celery juice, and he is definitely becoming thinner, and it's noticeable. I feel bad for the guy. I mean, I've watched him. He seems to be struggling and flip-flopping. I've never seen somebody so confused about what's good for them and what isn't. But, you know, it's getting, you know, things that he previously say were great are suddenly the devil, and, you know, it's this whole shift, and now seems like he's becoming even more vegan, so to speak, than he was before. But I'm glad that he's still doing a little bit of vegetarian. Maybe he'll find that balance because vegetarian is a sustainable diet, in my opinion, if you're getting enough eggs and you know, if you get any. He can't do dairy though, so I don't know. It's, you know, at least he's getting some fish. I don't know that he's eating enough to do that, because if you look at him, he's losing mass, I think. But that's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just a bad camera day. Happens to all of us. Overall, I'd say he needs to just kind of pick something and stick with it for a while before he just flip-flop. Because ever since I started watching him, he's always so busy introducing new things into his diet or experimenting with things. He doesn't give the experiments time to play out, you know. Or he'll have one bad thing go wrong and he'll jump to a conclusion that it's the diet and do completely 180 degrees the other thing. That's, you know, you're not really going to solve anything that way, you know, in my opinion. So, Alpha Coop, that's some tinfoil hat comment there. VP is just messing with everyone for clicks. Well, he does get us going, but I don't know. Today when I was watching his video, I was like, I'm not really feeling this video. You know, I'm getting burnt out a little, I guess, on VP. But we'll see. He's got a vegan girlfriend, so he's probably going to end up being one of them hardcore vegans at some point. Blue Loon, VP loves veganism, but it will kill him in the end, unfortunately. It'll just make his life miserable, and at some point, he'll change his... I have faith that at some point during his vegan journey back into veganism that he is going to be like, oh shit, yeah, I can't do this again. This is why I went carnivore the first time. And then he'll be back. I don't know. I know he would like to be balanced. And wouldn't we all? Unfortunately, our food environment isn't conducive to balance. Either you're going to go to one extreme or the other. But if you ride the middle, you end up as unhealthy as everyone around you. So, well, we've gone pretty long today. It's been 2 hours, 15 minutes. This is a pretty long YouTube video. It's going to take a while for you YouTubers to catch up with all of my content that I'm going to be producing this week. But that's the good news. You got time, because I really doubt that I'm going to get funded next week. So, if you like this video, you found it enlightening, you found it helpful, please head to ScottTheTruckDriver.com and leave a tip in the virtual tip jar. And if I get at least $20 per day, I will produce a video, which I've already done that this week, so you don't need to do that if you don't want to right now to get more videos this week. It's coming. Sponsors already took care of it. Follow me on Minds.com to keep up with when I go live. I have started posting YouTube videos to let people know when I'm going to be here, and apparently that worked today, because at one point I think we were at 30 people. So thank you all for showing up and appreciate it. Thank you for those of you who have donated Lino to this stream. I appreciate that. But I'm going to be doing videos. I'm also going to be videos I film out in the world. I'm going to premiere live to kind of talk and hang out, and then post the original video on YouTube's going forward when I get time to do videos. And thankfully our sponsors have made that happen this week. But remember, all this shit, I'm not a fucking expert. I'm just an asshole. I'm an asshole. I'm pretty good at being an asshole. Do your own homework, do your own research, experiment with some of the concepts we talk about today and see if they help you with your life. If they don't, they don't. They do, they do. They've helped me get to a better place than I used to be. And later this week, we're going to go through some of my old content and see just how bad I used to be. Because I was bad. I know I was bad. I was always an asshole. Follow me here on DLive. I'm trying to get to 200 so I get that little affiliate thing that I don't know what that does for me, but it's probably better than just being a basic DLive bitch that I am. Other than that, I'll see ya on the next video. And let's see what the closing remarks. Thanks for the stream, Blue. Thank you, Blue. Gyro sure I'm going to name my local stray cat Lino. That's a pretty good name for a cat, actually. Dragon Blade. Darren Blade, sorry, I keep saying Dragon Blade. I don't know why. Bye. Have a great day, and thanks for streaming. We are all assholes. Blue J77, thanks and all the best. Psychic Outlaw Chanel. Thank you, Scott. Chanel. And thank you for coming on over. I was looking forward to you being part of the live streams and stuff. So, thank you all. And I appreciate you. And have a nice motherfucking day. And shit. I play my... Yeah.